Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another beautiful episode. You're not going to get Cam singing on this one, but you wish you did, honestly. The musical stylings of Cameron James Hogan.
I'm retired. For the benefit of everyone's ears, I'm retired.
Where's the benefit concert? Where is it? I've already bought my ticket. I'm going to need to email your customer service representative.
You get it every day when I'm in the shower.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
but
for the public, that part of my life is now over.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Boo. Okay, well, don't hold him to that because I feel like sometimes we're just gonna get a random little spontaneous outburst.
I'm just still waiting for you to sing.
Oh,
You're a fantastic singer, but like no one has ever heard it.
Oh, interesting.
And I guess it won't be today. The way you acted.
I just break out into song. Hello. Yes. Well, today is a great day because as we were talking about right before we sat down, I look like the Halloween Town pumpkin. Look at me. Don't I look delicious? I look like a pumpkin pie. I love this dress so much. When I saw it, I was just like transported back to a time where women wore like really long dresses down to their ankles and were just like vibing and like just kind of dancing around in a circle around a tree. You know what I mean? Like fairy princess time.
I don't know when that was.
Me either.
But
I wish I was there.
If that existed and if that's only in your head, perfect.
What if that was one of my events?
That'd be awesome.
What if I hosted that? Because I remember when we were at Mezzanine and we literally just saw a group of people like running around the tree holding hands.
Yeah, that was the most awesome thing ever.
That was such a vibe. So we walk by one of our favorite restaurants and we just look to our right and we see this group of people, I'm not kidding, around this giant oak tree of all ages. It could have been like a diversity brochure for university, all holding hands and just running around this tree laughing. And I was like, wait, this is exactly what energy we need to bring in 2026. we are bringing this back.
100%.
So that's what you can visualize looking at my beautiful pumpkin princess dress. But we hope everybody is doing well. And we wanted to start today's episode with a little life update. Because we have been in quite an interesting season, a season of contraction. And you were telling someone about this the other day. And remember, he was like, I think you were on the walk. And he was like, oh, it's so interesting you say that because I feel like I have a friend at work going through that same exact thing. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think maybe others are too. So we should talk about it and just let it out into the public, into the life.
Most definitely. I think it takes a level of awareness that most people don't have yet, that life isn't just the exact same thing every single day. Just like in nature, there's the light, the darkness every day, day and night. There's the summer, there's the winter. I feel as if that same thing is meant to happen for humans and for us. And it's difficult because we all want to be in expansion all the time. We wish it was summer all the time. Wish it was sunny all the time. But that's just not how the weather works. Today outside, it's raining pretty hard. Like, that's just inevitable in nature. And I feel like it's inevitable in our lives. But it's difficult for people to actually be real to themselves. Like, oh yeah, this is just a season of contraction and that's okay. So if I feel less motivated to do things that I normally would like to be motivated to do, if I feel more sad than normal, if just it feels more like a cocoon type of season, whatever that may look like, what if that's okay?
Yeah.
And I feel like we've had that for the past, at least 6 months, would you say?
Definitely.
Yeah, if not more, maybe this entire 2025, it's almost felt.
It does feel like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the whole year, probably when we stepped down from hosting the walks, it really became a time of contraction because we forget ourselves. I'm sure you guys can relate, but I feel like we completely lose sense of not only time, but like what we were doing at any point of the year. Because before we stepped down from the walks, baby, we had like multiple active communities.
Oh, yeah.
We had a community that was being hosted every day. So like we were not in contraction.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like we were, but then when the middle of July came around and I basically got this like huge embodied feeling that I needed to step down from hosting the walks. And it wasn't only from stepping down for the walks, it was actually everything we were doing. And this was a really wild feeling, and a feeling that honestly I had never really experienced before, because like we were talking about with contraction, you almost want to resist it. And you want to rage against like any level of, hey, I want to stop doing this, or hey, I feel like this chapter is past. It's really hard to let go when you've gotten into the groove of something. And it's come to mean a lot to you, a lot to other people. People absolutely love it. Like, I remember in that specific period in July, we had a couple of things going on. We had our Great Morning Community, which was a call that Cam and I hosted every day at 8 in the morning. And it was basically a routine of gratitudes, affirmations, and a high vibe habit. The funny thing is that like 6 months later, Cam and I are like doing this routine again spontaneously. I do it every day. And I always ask Cam just randomly when we're beeping around, like, what are you grateful for today? And then we do the routine. So it's funny how when you take time from something, it like spontaneously arises again. But we were doing that required our daily effort. And so that was like a pulse of, every day we're going to get on and we're going to serve and we're going to create this space. At the same time, Cam was hosting a weekly call for True Brotherhood. And this was essentially a men's circle hybrid event. So just imagine a bunch of really high quality men in a call talking about a theme, and it was pretty much whatever you were going through in that moment.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing about it, is like whatever you're going through, there's a huge group of people out there also going through that. So if you break the ice and share that, chances are you're going to be met with like, oh my God, I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm going through that same thing. That's also what we try to do on this show. So if you ever feel like that, that's why. So Cam was hosting that every week. I was hosting my Call for True Love Club, and this was high achieving women who wanted to find love of their life and really break their dating patterns that was making them attract dusties and brokes, to be honest with you.
Dusties and brokes.
Dusties, brokes, and unstables. Okay. So we were doing this call. I'm just trying to be honest. So my sisters are struggling. So I was doing this call and I was really enjoying it. And at this period of time, just to put up the numbers, is I want to really capture the essence of how much we were doing. We were hosting a weekly walk, which was 2.5 hours of incredible conversations, the two of us, a daily call that was gratitude, affirmation, high vibe habit, a weekly men's circle essentially for an hour, and then a weekly women's dating and relationship call. That's more events that there are days in the month. And we were in such a period of just exertion, it felt, and it didn't feel heavy. It felt really fun, especially at certain times. I feel like we would get a high after we get off the calls. We really enjoyed what we were doing. But after a period, almost a season, LOL, to mirror nature, of us exerting and creating and hosting and connecting, it went and swung in the complete opposite direction. So I remember in mid-July, this would have been the walk's 3rd anniversary, the 3rd birthday of hosting that event weekly here in Austin for 3 years. And right around that period of time, I just started getting this intuitive hit of, it's time to step down. It's time to step down. It's time to step down. And I really resisted it because we love the walks. The walks have changed my life in so many ways. It is by far, not even close, the most transformative personal growth opportunity that I've ever had. And I really enjoyed the season of showing up, transcending my own emotion in that moment to serve the collective. It was so meaningful for me, and it was hard to step down because I love the work. But when this feeling started coming, it was kind of like the surrender experiment of, are you going to listen to the feeling, or are you going to push through the feeling, keep showing up, and risk either burning out in a really dramatic way, which I have done before, or pushing yourself past your limit and then coming to resent everyone and everything that you perceive is making you do that. So I felt like I was coming up against a wall. And I honored the wall and was like, okay, I hear you. This is coming to me multiple times throughout the day, even when I try to shift my focus, even when I try to think of something else or just be like, la, 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 don't want to hear that. And I told Cam one day when we were in the kitchen, I think it's time that we step down. And you were nothing but supportive. And you were like, yeah, I've been waiting for you to say this. I felt like this was coming. And the momentum in that moment of just relief and, oh my gosh, like it's time to enter a new season where I can just lovingly let go of everything that I don't want to do in this moment was so liberating. Oh my gosh. And so what we ended up doing was stopping all of the communities that we were hosting. So in one fell swoop, and it probably felt like quite abrupt on the outside, and I can get why, because you're not in the emotional reality. Because we were like showing up every day, really excited, and then one day just like, it's done. So we stopped doing True Brotherhood. I stopped doing True Love Club, Great Morning, all of that we just stopped. We sent an email saying it's time to end the chapter. And we did get pushback and people being like, no, I love this. Please keep it going. And I even remember, this is an important lesson. At that time, out of like guilt, probably, I was like, oh man, well, for at least for Great Morning, we should just shift it from being a daily call. I remember when we first talked about it, it was like to a weekly call. And then like 2 days later, I was like, no. Instead of a weekly call, let's do a monthly call. And then it was like, we hosted one of the monthly calls and we're like, let's just stop doing it. I just wanted to share that because I feel like that's super relatable. And it's a perfect example of when you get an emotion and a feeling of it's time to let go, there's this grasp of the mind that comes in. And it's like, no, but they love it. People are messaging you saying, no, don't stop this. It's the best thing ever. And then you yield to that feeling and create something that's like more obligation. And you just have to release the grip and let go. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this, baby. I just want to give the whole lay of the land of that time period because I don't really feel we've gone deep into what was happening there. And I feel like that was actually the huge amount of exertion before we went in the opposite swing of contraction.
I agree. Yeah. And so you're right. Everything that we were doing, we completely stopped except the walks.
Yeah.
We stopped attending and stopped hosting, but we handed that off to keep it going and also to take a step back to allow us to expand the walks. And now ever since then, it's almost in 10 cities now. 11, which is incredible. It's amazing.
And thank you to Julia
100%.
Grant. Julia Grant has been doing an incredible job hosting the Austin Walk when we stepped down. Just to give her a shout out here. When I was thinking about stepping down, which was a very difficult decision for me, the first person who came to my mind was Julia. Julia is literally just a ball of sunshine and she's so loving and you feel her heart as soon as you meet her. And I felt that for as long as I've known Julia. When I first met her at actually one of Nick Gray's cocktail parties, and I was a little nervous at that time. This is a couple years ago. She was the first person I met at the door, and I just told her, I was like, I'm pretty nervous. I don't really do stuff like this very often. And then she was like, oh my God, that's so great to hear. And we just immediately bonded. I invited her to the walks, and then she became one of the core regulars that makes the walk so great. So when I thought of who to take over for Austin, she was literally the first and only person I could think of. So when I talked to her about it, it was funny at that time. She was dropping little hints about potentially being pregnant. I remember she was like, oh, these are my baby name lists. And, we might be trying or just not trying not to. She was dropping these hints and I was like, am I really about to ask this woman to host this walk? And she's like pregnant. And that's exactly what happened. So Julia has been hosting as our first ever pregnant walk host. And you could literally see week over week her belly get bigger in all the pictures and in her ground rules speech. And I just think that's the coolest thing ever. So it is really amazing how we literally passed the baton to someone who just found out they were pregnant. And then we became pregnant with like our next chapter. And that same time,
Let's clarify that a little bit.
no, I mean,
we're not pregnant.
not physically, but like, you know how yesterday you were like, see your ideas as like babies, as if you're pregnant. It just reminded me of that comment because I'm like, isn't that kind of funny? I actually never thought about that before. But what are the odds we pass it off to somebody who is like incubating beautiful life, and we entered that season as well.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give Julia a more extended shout out because she's been doing such an incredible job. And Cam attended the other day and got to see her in action. And it was just absolutely awesome. So, but anywho, go ahead, baby.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, I think you were talking about we did not stop the walks. The walks actually expanded. So everything else we stopped doing.
Yeah. So basically, we realized that just I think with everything in life, there's a point of diminishing returns to even if it's, hanging with a friend group that you love, even if it's, a job that you love or active volunteering or in service to others like we were doing, there reaches a certain point where it's too much for one to handle. And we just got to that point where it's just too much. And we realized that all these things were doing really good, but none of them were doing great and excellent to the level which we know we're capable of. And so we realized let's cut off a lot of what we were doing, focus on the thing that's leading to the most impact, that people are loving the most, and just double down on that. And so we did that with the walks, and thankfully stepping down from that weekly event and just focusing on one event previously, and then now giving ourselves the space to expand it now 11 cities. It's actually been easier to expand the cities than it was to attend the walks every single week, funny enough.
Yeah.
It feels. It's like when we really are just really careful about our energy and we put it in the right places, everything just kind of sprouts exactly how it's supposed to. So not only have we done that for the businesses and communities and focused on that, we've kind of just done that for everything in life, where everything that was taking like little ounces of our attention, we just really looked over with like a magnifying glass and realized, is this actually worth continuing to do? And we did this with, the same week that we stopped the walk to stop hosting them ourselves. We did a kind of like a social media and just screens in general detox for 2 weeks. And that was one of the most profound 2 weeks of our life because it allowed us to kind of exhale and breathe again and relax. And we read more books than ever before. We had more moments of just silence meditation than ever before. And it really just allowed for us to just kind of recenter, it felt. And that was something really, really amazing. And with that newfound awareness, after giving ourselves the space, we realized that there's so many other little things that I know, at least for myself, that I was doing at that same time. I was like, all right, I have to step away from one-on-one coaching, step away, of course, from True Brotherhood that we just talked about, step away from all those other things to focus on one big thing. And that being the board, expanding that to as many cities as possible, having the board premium membership coming out soon, getting pretty much the company or the community ready for sponsorships, like making that the huge thing, which has been really, really cool. But also just making sure that every single place we're putting our energy is conducive for our highest growth. And that also meant like a lot of like friendships or a lot of other people that we kind of honestly felt obligated to stay in touch with or to text back all the time, just kind of letting all of that go. And never like blocking them by any means, just not actively participating, especially proactively like we were before. And when we did that, we just got all of our energy back, it felt. And this has also been a time of what feels like to be immense like spiritual growth. It feels like you and I really just deeply understood kind of what we're here to do, what our purpose is, how intentional we want to be with life. And also just to kind of prepare ourselves for the next chapter. I feel like that's always kind of what a season of contraction is. It's to prepare yourself for the next level of expansion. And we see where things are going. We see the momentum being built with media, with the board. And we're just like, okay, now it's time to become the people necessary to honor the momentum, to honor the traction, to honor the incredible opportunity we have to serve so many. And so how that actually looks of kind of preparing yourself for that is a lot of solitude, a lot of crying, a lot of just like all the stuff coming up that we oftentimes are avoiding.
Yeah.
It's really fully facing that. And that's led to, even though I feel like our life is near perfect, like almost heaven on earth, there's just so many days where it feels really tough. It feels like we're shedding a lot of what
Mm.
didn't serve us. And when that happens, and when you're kind of, face to face with your ego, and the ego is beginning to diminish and evaporate over time, when you begin to look at things clearly, that process can be quite painful. It can be quite hard to look in the mirror that intentionally. And so that's really just what the past 6 months have been for us. It feels is just going deep, deep, deep into that process to make sure that any story, any belief, any habit, anything that isn't serving our highest growth, that isn't aligned with the person that we know we're meant to become, just doing whatever needs to be done to let that go. And that's just been, a wild, wild process. And most days are fantastic. And then some days we feel kind of down bad, where we just want to lay in bed all day, or take a long bath and not talk to anyone, and just sulk in that letting go-ness. But that's really what our life has been like for the past handful of months. And I'm really grateful for it, because I feel like it's priming us perfectly for the next chapter of whatever that may look like.
Yeah. Yeah. While you were speaking, you reminded me of the fact that we took the 2 weeks off with no technology, like really just being in our house. We didn't go anywhere. It's like a cabin in the woods. We were really just here. And the challenge was like, how can I completely disconnect in the environment that I'm in every day? And you reminded me of that. I kind of forgot that happened. And that 2 weeks is what had us emerge and say, we're done with all of the 3 communities outside of the walks. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember right before those 2 weeks ended, I was feeling this huge rush of energy to like email the women in True Love Club and saying like, hey, like it's done. Like the container is over. And man, what an interesting time. Like you just brought me back to that, a portal of that. And I wanted to share something that I know tactically is really hard to do. It is the idea of disconnecting for 2 weeks is like, oh, must be nice. I'm sure to some people it's like, how can you do that? If you're like an employee or if you have like a lot of people relying on you, or you're a central figure of something, or even if you're an entrepreneur, like literally for anyone, it's difficult. And so I want to talk a little bit about that 2 weeks and how important that was, because maybe there's a middle ground that we can suggest to people to where they can get the juice benefits of that without maybe going completely offline. Because I know not everyone is in that position, but it was so powerful that I really feel like if you, as you're listening to this right now, were to say, I am going to take 2 weeks as an experiment to reduce the amount of time I'm on tech, to create more space in my day, maybe even make it like a certain number of hours. If you were to do that, there would be things that come to you similar to what I was talking about of like, it's time to end these communities. It's time to step down from the walks. That would not have come to me so freaking strongly without the space. And so I want to talk about that and give some recommendations on how people who are like, okay, I'm not able to just go off grid, guys, how would you design that if you were currently working as an employee? Like, how would you simulate exactly what we did in that scenario?
I think I would write a list of everything that actually has to be done to fulfill like your job title and your description of what is going to happen the next 2 weeks. And then be really cognizant of how you're spending your energy to make sure that if you're on technology, it is for those exact tasks and nothing else. And so I think a lot of people, their entire job, especially if you're, somewhat Gen Z, millennial, even Gen X to some extent, your entire job's now on the computer. Oftentimes it can be done from work from home, but if you're in office, same situation. Your phone itself oftentimes is probably taking the far, far majority of your time, but has very little to do with work. Very little. And there may be like a one-off call or someone you have to answer, text, whatever it may be, but very few things. It's like it's Slack, it's email, it's all these other things on your laptop. on your desktop, whatever that may look like. I feel as if the phone, though, is taking up the far majority of the technology time we're having. And this big detox nowadays is literally just a detox from a black screen. That's really what it is. That will kind of reset your whole life because this is taking up a lot of our time in that way. So what I would do for people that really want to do that is I would just really ask yourself, when do I actually need my phone, if at all? And if it's not really at all, I would just put it in a different room, like lock it away for 2 weeks. And so that means like no social media on, of course, you can't access anymore if you don't have your phone, but also on the desktop. And then just allow yourself to just recognize that the time you're going to save from that, if we all check our screen time on our phone, it's probably going to be a few hours on TikTok and Instagram, and YouTube, or whatever it may be for you, the Netflix. If we just put that phone away and then the big TV screen you have at your home, unplug that from the outlet for 2 weeks and just say, I'm only touching my technology when it's absolutely needed to be conducive for my job. And then besides that, I'm replacing that time with solitude, nature, and connecting with others in person. If we make that switch, not only will it free up probably 3 or 4 hours of our day that we then could, work on fitness and all those other things I just said, that within itself will lead to the largest increase of quality of life that I could ever imagine for anyone instantly. And that's kind of what we did. We went, I think, even more extreme mode, where we just kind of like locked the laptops in the closet for the far majority of the time. And I mean, that led to just such a deeper connection with each other, with our spiritual senses, with nature, with everything. And man, like as I'm saying this now, I'm like, I really want to do something similar to that right now. It's like I just remember how I felt when I gave myself the permission to realize, like, I really don't need this stuff as much as I think I do, at least for these 2 weeks. And the amount of greatness it felt that came from intentionally putting those things aside, the amount of space we received back, man, that felt amazing. It felt incredible. And so, I mean, I recommend for anyone who has any type of decision they need to make in their life, whether it's where to move, who to marry, whether to continue a job, whatever big or small thing, literally just setting down the devices, I think can have a huge, huge impact on that.
Yeah.
And so even for us at this moment, like there's a lot that we're trying to work on to get done, especially for the beginning of the year, before the board, the premium membership launches, things like that. We really want to make sure all those I's dotted and T's crossed to build the whole systems for that. But also, I know, for at least for myself, there's still like time spent on YouTube, time spent just looking at a screen that isn't about work. And I feel like when I do too much of that, that's when I get a little anxious. That's when I feel like not on purpose. That's when kind of all the negatives of these incredible devices come out. And so I think that's just something that we've learned to really just be cognizant of. And also, thankfully, we're in the position where even though we have a large social media impact and we'll continue to scale that, we now have a designated employee specifically for handling our social media, which in theory would give us the ability to not need to be on those at all, because they literally can handle everything. But there's still part of us that wants to check the apps and all this and all that. But I think something we can do is just be really cognizant of, if we're stepping on Instagram or LinkedIn or X, like we're very cognizant of why, of the intention. Because I know for myself, still, I would say almost every day that I go into a little bit of a dark hole on those apps. For in the past, it used to be hours. Now it feels like 5-10 minutes, but it does take an effect. And one thing that we kind of discussed yesterday that I feel as if it's not really talked about is, when you go in those apps, you're now subject to the consciousness, the awareness, and the beliefs of a lot of people that you normally, and I remember saying this to you once before, it's like, if you wouldn't invite them into your home, if they're knocking on the door, don't invite them into your mind by seeing them on these platforms.
Yeah.
Because every person has an energetic imprint. Every person, especially if they feel called to tweet something, as we know these apps, oftentimes it's not the most thought out. It's not the most gratitude filled thing they're posting. It's oftentimes out of anger, out of pride, whatever it is. And that does affect us to some extent. it does, I know for me, get me out of the creative mode. And so just really being cognizant of like what we allow into our awareness to like almost the most extreme degree is what we've noticed, at least for myself, I can speak. When I do that very well, has led to the most happiness and fulfillment and alignment and purpose and productivity and restfulness and all that. And so it's just something we're still navigating because this is kind of our business, but to what level does it need to be?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's funny because like of pretty much any area in our relationship, I think that this has been one of the few, if not only, tension points between Cam and I. And I just want to talk about it from that frame because you've seen through our episodes, like, for example, one of the ones around healthy communication where he's confronted me around like drinking Diet Coke or being, like, in his words, like addicted to social media or at one point addicted to Twitter. And this one has been probably the hardest thing for me because I think even when I'm hearing you speak about it, I like felt myself get a little annoyed.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I can feel it from you as you're saying
yeah,
that.
exactly. And so I wanted to just speak this because I don't know if maybe someone else was feeling I don't mean to roast you, but it's like, I guess sometimes I don't speak about what I'm feeling and maybe I'm feeling something that people need to hear, but I know how annoying this is. Like, trust me, if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, so phones are bad, ooh, I get it. Like, truly, this has been one of the hardest things for me because we tell ourselves stories about why we need the thing to justify the thing being in our life. And so for me, I used to be a very, very, very regular, I'm talking like multiple hours a day user on Twitter or X. And I had this story. I'm still literally right now in the process of letting this story go, that I need to be active on the platform in order to do my creations justice. Like, it's a very hard story for me to shed because how I built a very loyal following on X really without trying, but with a lot of like intention. I wasn't trying to grow a following, but it just happened because I was injecting so much energy into the platform through my writing that the last couple of months, pretty much since that break, I have been completely off X. And so the swing of that, the extreme of that, going from being so on there and telling myself that I had to be on there, I had to physically open the app, I would write in the Twitter composer and I'd send it off. And it's like, sometimes it was quick thoughts. Sometimes it was just like a literal stream of writing that I didn't edit at all. And then I got used to that. I built up this routine of just like expressing, not thinking about it too much and hitting post because it was literally in the composer. And what I've been navigating is there's a story in my head that it's like, unless I'm on the platform physically, my magic isn't there. Like, I've tied up some kind of weird identity in like being the person who writes in the composer, because that's what I would do. And when I write in the composer, it almost like, it's so weird. I don't know if anyone can relate to this. I tend to put things in boxes. So if I write on a Google Doc, that feels like more pressure. If I write in the Twitter composer, that feels like low pressure. And I can like just say whatever I'm thinking. If I write in my notes app, it's kind of like a middle ground between the two. And I went from a place of like getting really used to just hitting it off, shooting off the hip on X, which I learned how to do that, to then like being completely off X. And then my writing started getting more in the mind because it's like, now I'm not writing in a composer. So I have more time, I have more space, I can have more time to edit. And that has been such a weird death process for me. Like, truly, it like makes me cry. Like, I could cry about it, like, in this moment, because it's hard. Like, it's really hard.
Yeah.
I got used to creating a certain way. And I recognize, like, I know Cam is right that being on these social media platforms is not good. And I know that because whenever I go on there, like, I literally had a moment yesterday where I wanted to share that we're looking for a new Austin Walk host because Julia is going to have a baby and we need a new host. And I was really excited. But I wrote a post and I put it these different places and I really try not to look. I know that looking at the feed really impacts me because I take in the energy and then it like stays with me through the day, and it really is not like good for my energy. It's not productive and it's not healthy because I'll spin on what I see. And so, yesterday I had this moment where I went to go on LinkedIn to post the Austin Walk host opportunity, and I saw one post. It was literally just one post that like stayed in my head. And I like, now that I've been so off social media, it's almost like if you're addicted to like a hardcore drug and then you get like a little small dose of it and then you're like, oh God, like the difference when you've taken time from it and you're like, oh man, my mind was really peaceful until I saw that thing, and now I'm like, I keep thinking about that one thing I saw. And it's just been a painful process for me. Like, it's been really hard. And I feel like I've like died in a way. Like, it's so dramatic. But I feel like part of my, like, how I was used to creating died. And I'm trying to find it again. So, I don't know how I'm even sharing this. It's so dramatic and like kind of crazy. I'm literally talking about writing on X, but I feel like there was this period of time where I was just able to like write from the heart and not really think about it too much. And I feel like I've lost that to some extent. It's been really difficult for me to navigate. So anyway, let me know if you have any thoughts on that. This has been a difficult one for me, guys. And so I know, like, going back to what you're talking about, hearing this is probably really annoying. I know it because
it's annoying.
It's annoying for me, and I know that people listening to this are probably like, oh yeah, yet another person talking about how technology is bad and how I shouldn't be on social media. And I used to be the kind of person who'd hear stuff like this and be like, oh yeah, facts, and then spend 8 hours on Twitter. Like, I know the dissonance, but like it does make a big difference, I will say. I feel so much more peaceful being off of it, but there's a part of me that like misses it, and I'm trying to figure out how to be in that middle ground. And it's been probably the biggest struggle of the last couple months. Being off the platforms feels really great, and then when you get like some level of like anxiety around, oh man, like I've lost my magic, like I'm not writing the way that I used to, it's been a difficult transition for me. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I just want to be honest about it because I know we can sit and talk about it from like a logical place, but like it's really hard to give a routine up that really meant a lot to you and brought you a lot of joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there are ways that I can do it without needing the platforms, and that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. And Kim and I are trying to create the systems where I can still write and I can still create, and it doesn't have to come from the mind. Because when you don't do something as much and then you start doing it again, there's a lot of pressure put on that thing. And that's what Kim and I have been exploring recently. Because back when I was on the platforms a lot, I was able to just like write whatever was literally coming through me. And I didn't put that much time at all into the post. And that's why they like hit so deeply. But because I don't have as much shots on board, and I've lost the habit of doing that, it's like every piece I write feels important. And because it feels important, I start editing it. And I guess you can apply what I'm saying to even making like an Instagram post. Like for a lot of people that I'm very close to, actually, I remember it'd be like, I only post like once a year. And so my one post a year, I'm going to spend 3 days making. Because you're not posting a lot, when you do post, there's a lot of pressure that gets put into that one post. And I'm just trying to put it into a frame other people can feel themselves in, because I know not everybody writes, especially to like the level of vulnerability that I do on Twitter, but you can apply this to anything. If you're really used to doing something a lot and then you scale it back to just like what you perceive to be like nothing at all, it puts so much pressure on that one thing. And that's what I'm trying to break right now. It's been painful and really hard and causes me some anxiety, especially over the last couple of days. I feel like I'm behind. I feel like I'm not sharing to the extent that I could be. I feel like I'm not being efficient with my energy. I feel like we have so many conversations all day long, and they're not being converted into forms people can feel. And I feel like we're going to solve this because it's a massive pain point for me. Because I love to create and I love to turn my emotions into things that make people feel something. So I just need to build a new identity in this space, which will probably be much healthier. But again, it's hard to let go.
Most definitely. And what feels true for me is a lot of the people that we deeply admire, whether they're like the highest level of active online, let's say, they have huge brands. I'm talking the president of the United States. I'm talking Oprah. I'm talking all those other people. A lot of people who we love the books of, let's say, like a Gabor Mate or whoever you're thinking of. More than likely, I can almost guarantee it. They aren't at that level. They are not the ones going into X, opening it up and writing the tweet right there, and then just kind of analyzing it for anywhere from 5 minutes to 5 hours, and then hitting send. They're not doing that. What they are doing is focusing on the things that really, really matter, like writing the book, making the video, whatever it is. And then from there, they trust a team of people that they'll double check before it goes out. Oftentimes, some don't, but some do, to transcribe what they said, so it's still their words, or take a section out of the book that they wrote and then post it on their behalf. And that's how they've grown to millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of people and have been able to serve the world level which they want to. The other part of that is this transition that you and I feel as if we're both experiencing is when we built our identity and spent the far majority of our time on certain apps and doing certain things that led to an immense amount of validation from others. Like, I'm talking tens of thousands of followers that were always kind of hyping us up and wanting us to keep going. And the moments that we weren't, we didn't post that day or that week, whatever it is, people were like, well, where are you? What's going on? Why? Where's the post been? That feeling of being wanted is intoxicating. And that's what we're most trying to navigate as we let go of right now. That's it. Because we can still create to the same level we were before, if not much more, because none of our time is going towards consuming. But we can do that on the Notes app on our phone, which is the same device that we use to, to create all the X posts or whatever it may be. We have this feeling in our life where, and this is, I think oftentimes, we create certain habits and attributes in our life to make sure that we stay where we're at. And so it makes us feel a heightened level of importance on certain things and others, even though it doesn't really make any sense. So for a long time, like, we feared a Google Doc when that doesn't, logically make any sense. Or like the Notes app on our phone, we feared that as opposed to the X cursor, because those things we feel as if are completely different, but they're the exact same. It's something that someone, especially the team that we have that are well trained to whatever level we want them to be, can just copy and paste from and make it go live, so we can make the exact same impact, do everything we want to do, express ourselves in the exact same way. But we feel this difference in what's possible in that way. And that's really, really making us suffer. But that's okay, because I think it's very similar to, speaking in general, right? Or singing, to say the least. It's very different to be singing to yourself in the bathroom as you take a shower versus singing in front of someone else, versus singing in front of the stage. Even though it's just that person doing the exact same thing, it feels different in comparison to the audience that we feel as if we are being around. And singing once in your life and you feel as if it's happening. I mean, think about it. Like, your audience already, that's the same level of people as Madison Square Garden. And so if you were singing one time and you feel as if you're singing in front of Madison Square Garden, it makes sense why you have all this friction. But if you allow yourself to sing every day, multiple times a day. And then the stages just get gradually bigger, or the entire time it's just you with a microphone in the comfort of your own home, and you're kind of removed from however many people are listening to you. You're able to really speak from the soul. That's why people record albums in the confined studio. So there's different things that just go on to being a creator. That's very difficult. And also we should be very proud of ourselves, because most people don't even have the courage in this example to sing at all. But you've had the courage to write, to express, to do these videos, to do this to the fullest extent, to host an in-person community that now has had hundreds, if not thousands of people, tens of thousands attend. So you're already so far, and it's just kind of the last parts of this limiting belief and stories around the person you must be or what you must get from this certain app or platform, whatever it may be, that's stopping us from being able to fully express. And it's frustrating because we know logically it doesn't make any sense, but it feels very alive in our body, ends leading to inaction.
Yeah. I know you're right. It's just I don't know the answer yet. So it just feels like death. I'm just, I don't know. It feels really hard to go from being so creative in a certain way to just feeling like you're in a drought. It's hard.
Yeah.
And I don't think people from the outside would like feel like, we'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, you have so much pure output, you know, but it's the feeling. It's different for me.
Yeah. And we're only at what, 10% of what we feel like we're capable of? And that hurts us. Yeah. I feel like this is something that every creative person goes through. Very few have the words to articulate, but there's waves of creativity.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I think a lot of famous musicians, comedians, even athletes, even though they have the talent and the skills, they're capping themselves at a certain level. It's like they're not allowing themselves to be on the big stage. And even then they tell themselves, I'm doing everything I can, you can just look at their actions like, no, we're not. And that's because we may not, in our being, in our nervous system, be ready for that next level. And so it's manifesting in this hesitancy around creating in a more efficient, expansive way. And that's okay.
Yeah.
This is like the human condition. This is why everyone isn't abundant and happy. Because there's beliefs and there's a lack of nervous system readiness that's capping them to where they're at, to only making a certain amount of money, to only having a certain quality of relationship. That's why they keep on attracting subpar romantic partners in their life, whatever it may be, and they keep on ruining that in some way. We all have that to some extent, and we're already playing on a very high level. Very, very high. We have a fantastic life. But we also know that there's another level that very few people have ever walked, that we know we're meant for. And we're coming up against everything right now that we're oftentimes unconscious of the far majority of my life. The unconscious is now becoming conscious, and we're facing that. And that's painful. And so it manifests in all these little ways of how we share or lack thereof, but it's all just that.
Yeah. I know I'll feel differently about it. It's just been a very difficult part. And you just get really used to a certain way of being. And then there's a lot of euphoria that happens when you're able to transcend a layer of it. Like, I remember how it felt to go in the transition stage from like not writing or sharing or creating literally in any way whatsoever, just truly being like a consumer of what was on platforms, to starting to share again, and then being like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. Like, this is euphoric, and you're there and you're sharing, and then every day you just it gets truer, it gets truer, it gets easier, spontaneous poetry, spontaneous posts, things that were truly just from brain to the post button. There was no separation. It was just like, oh, it is what it is, whatever. And there was a lightness to it, and it's like that lightness is so addicting, and I want to figure out how to do that again, because I love the feeling of turning my thoughts into bite-sized or longer or medium or whatever it is, pieces of art. It's just, for whatever reason, I've coupled that feeling with it has to be a certain way, and I need to rebuild that. Yeah, it's difficult to create in a vacuum.
Yeah. Well, we have at this moment, I mean, probably hundreds of hours of like high quality conversations that are ready to be put out.
Yeah, I think that's why it's really painful, because it's like, it's not for lack of creation. It's for lack of,
of readiness to be seen.
I don't know if it's that. I just feel like I'm not used to sharing in the way that we've been creating. And I haven't put enough energy towards it. And I really, like, I don't want to go dark. I don't want, with everything, every day we do, we're always creating, we're always talking, we're always saying things that people really resonate with. And it's just like, not sharing that is painful. It's really painful to me. But like, I also understand that it takes a season of contraction for you to realize, what is painful. Like, this has been a really hard point. This is one of the biggest points I think I want to solve. Everything else feels great, but it's just like, to feel like you're not expressing to the level, like we are expressing, we're just not being efficient about how it's being shared. And it's like, that causes me pain.
Well, the systems would take a day to put together. And you know that.
Then let's do it. I really want to I want to focus on it, because it's just, and maybe this is like, maybe the first step, because I know we talked about this yesterday, and I know you know how I feel about this, and I know other people will probably walk the same path, because the platforms really do impact you. That's kind of the most aggravating part, is that I think in the past I told myself, oh, the platforms actually don't impact me. Like, I'm above it. Like, yeah, I'm just floating above it. Well, it's not true.
Baby, we have the systems already in place.
Okay, then let's just take action on it.
Like, we have things that just need us to thumbs up, and then they'll be put out, and it'll be us posting multiple times a day in a very, very good way.
Okay.
But the systems have never been the problem.
Yeah.
It's us actually being ready to step in to make the impact that we're never meant to make.
Okay.
We have hundreds of posts on deck.
Okay.
In all different ways. But it takes us actually ready for what we know will be the result of putting out the type of creations we're about to put out.
Yeah.
And that's what we're afraid of. And that's what's causing all this friction. That's what makes the Google Docs feel like something in a scary movie.
I feel the pressure. I feel like a massive amount of pressure. And I just want it to feel light again. So.
Where's that pressure coming from?
Somatically?
In general?
I feel like the best thing that's coming to me in this moment is like, we literally are going through such powerful breakthroughs, such powerful transformations and emotional processes. And it's like we're on an island. and no one knows about it. And like, this could really help people. Like, in 2021, if I found the stuff we were talking about, I would feel such a deep sense of relief and be like, oh, this is exactly what I needed to hear. And there's a pain in that for me, where it's like, we're talking about things, we're figuring things out at such a high level right now. Like, even with you and the nutrition thing, that's why I'm like pushing you to turn what you're doing into something people can actually benefit from. I feel like we just have a blind spot here. Like, we're completely free to share our conversations, and I spontaneously cry in every episode now, and it's all great. And you're like, we're behind the scenes building like fucking incredible world-class shit that like no one knows about, and like no one can buy to support us. And it's just like, it feels like there's a giant ass wave, and the wave of stuff, the wave of energy that we are pushing in this moment is like going into a red Solo cup.
Because it's being blocked by
That's
dam.
what it feels like. It's just like, and that is the pressure. It's like, there's so much we're doing and we're not converting the energy efficiently. That's why it feels that way to me. And I really want to solve it, because it's not like I'm sitting around like, I have no creativity, I have no idea. It's like, oh my God, you know, we are doing so many interesting things. We're talking about things that are so freaking helpful. We're literally, without even realizing, creating like a playbook on so many different things. Like, you automating like our entire nutrition this week, and then finding, you know, the DEXA scan, what do we need to eat, the meals, finding the chef, finding the glass container. It's like, I see us do brilliant shit, and then I'm like, no one knows about it. You know what I mean? It's like,
So there's a wave of creativity.
Yeah.
And only a red Solo cup, which is like this podcast, is coming out because there's a dam right here.
Right.
And that dam is called fear. We're fearful. There's nothing we need to fix. Again, we already have systems. Everything is pretty much there.
Okay.
So there's nothing to fix, there's nothing to solve. That comes from a place of doing. And that's what we're letting go of.
Okay.
Just like with nearly everything in life, there's nothing to solve. There's only something to feel.
So, like, why do you feel like you have not taken action in this area?
Because I'm the exact same as you.
What do you mean?
We're in the same boat.
But you don't have fear.
Yeah, I do. She thinks like I'm like not human.
Because you're my alien.
I know I'm very alien, and like, yes, but also like there's a block for me too.
What is that for you?
I feel like there's still a part of me that is very confused on how I'm meant to be perceived. Because, I mean, I'm very special and have a lot of like very unique gifts. And in the past and in the present, there are certain ways that I've articulated those things that I've realized aren't conducive and people aren't ready for. But I have this kind of feeling of what I'm meant to create and what I'm meant to be, but I don't yet know how that looks like manifested. Because I am very awake and I see things very clearly, but also the world is not ready to hear a lot of it. And so I've had a very difficult time understanding exactly what I'm meant to articulate. And I know, you know, some of that can just be like, tell them about your life and tell them how this is going. And I've done it to some extent, but also that's like wild shit happening that people don't have the ears for. I mean, like,
yeah,
the stuff that we come in contact with is literally otherworldly all the time. And so I'm like, okay, not that. They ain't ready for that. they ain't ready for this. And I got to make sure when I say it, it's not come from a place of like, former creators where it feels like kind of anger and a little bit like prideful in there. And it's like, they make those points. Like, I'm trying not to be that. Like, I'm trying to find my way. And I feel as if I don't have nearly as many blocks around posting. I'll do it on any platform, anytime. But the way it's done, I'm like, how can I be the best conduit possible for whatever message is actually meant to come through? I feel like it's more for me because I'm channeling a lot of this stuff, fine-tuning the channel. And I have fear around not conducting it in a way that's conducive. Because yet I don't fully trust myself to make sure that what I'm saying is coming from truly just the light. It's coming truly from a place that this is deeply what's best for people to hear at this moment. It is 100% aligned with the light, with truth. And I want to conduct it in a way that serves that message the best. Because there's this huge part of me that wants to tell people exactly what's wrong with the world, but they don't need to hear that.
Right.
They don't need to know the trenches of the military industrial complex and the food and what's actually going on spiritually and the falsehood of religions and things like that. They're not ready for that. And I may never be the person to tell them that. That will all come out and has been coming out. But it's very difficult my entire life when you're able to see things, but people aren't ready to hear them. Mm-hmm. That's what's a lot of my life of understanding those things, the deepest level. It's like, yeah, you've spent your entire life learning these things. But yeah, people aren't ready. So you can't say that. And then there's the other part where it's like, okay, when we talk about all the positive, great things that are happening, including, I won't even get into it, but the very metaphysical, extremely spiritual, esoteric patterns and experiences that we're having that literally in a different time period they'd lock us up in an insane asylum if we were to say it. Truly, I can't say that stuff. And I'm like, what's left? Well, I can talk about my life, but also that's pretty freaking unrelatable. Like to the maximum.
Right.
And like I'm going through like the fine tunings of awakening and like of shedding all limiting beliefs, patterns, habits, all these different things that all is just in a complete different league than most people. Like if we look at the map of consciousness, the thing that we love, most people are barely stepping into courage. We're in a complete different realm where what we talk about doesn't make any sense. It actually is offensive to most people. Truly. And so there's like, I don't know. Like you have such a better time, it feels, at least to me, kind of knowing what people are ready to hear because you're more human than I am. Truly.
Well, I just share from my experience.
Exactly.
And I don't know why it feels easier, but that's an interesting thing to.
And we also know how you're designed. We know how you are just more in touch with the groundedness of being human, and I'm more in touch with the infinite ether.
The void.
And so my thing is like,
have fun with the void.
My thing, for real, my thing is like bringing all this down in a way that's digestible.
Yeah.
Your thing is understanding everything that's on the ground with you and rising them up.
Right.
And so we're coming from literally different worlds.
Right.
And so my thing is like, really, how do I articulate what I'm meant to share with the world in a way that's actually conducive for their highest growth? And I don't know what that looks like yet.
Yeah.
I really don't. And I really want to. We have infinite knowledge, infinite material. I can, as we've done before, I can record things and I can go on for hours on a certain subject of things that I've never even thought of before, that I'm literally channeling through me. That's like incredible wisdom. But even the science behind that, people aren't ready to hear.
Yeah.
And some information, it's like I wind up too high and I lose everyone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how fucking basic do I have to keep this shit?
Right. Well, but you're also not really able to do that.
I'm not.
Because when you're in it, when you're in the flow of what you're speaking, you can't like ground it as easily.
Exactly.
Because it just keeps going higher and higher.
You have to have an immense amount of space or be enlightened to truly understand. Like, some of the things I'm saying that I don't even fully understand.
Right.
But I'm like literally activating codes in people's DNA. But people can't even fathom that yet. So like my thing is like, okay, I feel free enough to talk to anyone, anything, but what is worth discussing?
Yeah.
And so yours is an emotional readiness to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is a fear of saying something that people aren't ready for.
Fear of saying something people aren't ready for.
And then there's, this part of it is like, well, everything you think of and say is perfect. And also like, maybe, but also there's a line.
Is there?
Yes.
Everything I say.
And I see, this is what I love. Like I see like the Eckharts of the world, the Michael Singers. I see a lot of people out there that I really admire that kind of just innately know what others are ready for.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fantastic. And I would love to embody more of that. And also understand that I'm not them. Like, I don't know if I'm meant to be a spiritual teacher. And I'm meant to like share my life, but also like a lot of my life is a lot of very mystical things,
Yeah.
that people don't have the space yet for, so they will immediately disregard.
Is that true?
I think partially. I feel like when the way I live, like we receive things that like go against everything I've ever been taught. And like I don't know how to conduct myself in a way that's productive for others.
What if it's not about being productive, and what if it's not about being logically understood? What if it's a transmission?
I understand that, but like I don't know yet what is purely transmission and what's not.
So you're saying you don't know when what you're actually pulling through is your own ego,
yes,
versus higher.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Because like if you go to the freaking channel panel, right? The people that are channel, it's very obvious. This is me, and this is the thing I'm channeling.
Yeah.
I'm just, everything I do
can
be seen as a channel.
Right.
And so I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know what this is.
I don't know what this is.
Like, is this information, or is this my ego's projection?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even though I feel like we're very advanced when it comes to our ego training to make sure it's always kind of subdued and no indifference, it's still very difficult.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I've put in the past, I see now from a higher perspective, like the ego in it quite a bit.
If on the top of your head, do you have any creations that come to mind that you did not feel had ego in them?
I think Do It Now is pretty good. The course we're putting out.
What about that?
Well, also like, I feel, so I'm just innately calm and chill. Like I embody a lot of stuff. And so it's difficult for me to teach practices that I myself didn't have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels like an imposter syndrome to me. And also there's something about teaching in general where it's like I go into this mode that I don't think I'm meant to be a teacher. And so I feel very conflicted by a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I don't even like the stuff I'm putting out right now. I don't.
What are you putting out right now?
Like a handful of videos a month, like say 1 week-ish of like cam diaries that I even like forget I put out because it just like doesn't resonate that deeply with me.
What have you been talking about?
I talked about, I barely remember, but like what it's been like navigating kind of this a little bit. What it's been like us trying to run businesses from a good place in the world. Things like that.
That's interesting. So I'm trying to locate a feeling in this situation. I'm trying to locate like what's something that you've created where you really felt like proud to share it. Because maybe that's the key. Because you just said I forgot that I like what I even talked about. So it's not like, oh my God, I can't wait to like post this on Twitter. This episode's a banger. You know what I mean?
I don't think I've ever felt that by anything I do.
Really?
Yeah. I feel just really like indifferent about all of it. Everything I've ever done.
That's interesting. Take it out of creation. What's something you've been really excited to share? Like that feeling of like almost like I'm proud of this. I want people to see this.
I was excited about the newsletter I wrote, like around my birthday time, so a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But and also that I kind of like forgot the day it was launching. It's just like,
well, forget the like. I'm wanting that feeling, like right when you make something and you're like, "Oh, I'm excited about this."
I think it's something that I put a lot of intention into. It feels, and like I actively think like how it's gonna go.
Interesting. Okay, so I actually think this is helpful because I'm noticing a pattern. You said that you really liked Do It Now, and you really liked this newsletter. Both of those things had structure to them.
Mm-hmm.
So what if like your way of creating is more structured than what you've been doing? And what if my way of creating is less structured? Because like, isn't that kind of funny?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Because it's like...
Because mine is divine masculine.
Exactly.
So the structure, and yours is divine feminine. So it's flow.
Because I have too much structure and you're not having enough. And I'm like literally crying about it. Cause I'm like, where's my heart-based random tweeting?
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what I mean? Because I was not thinking about that. That was coming from the heart. But I feel like you really like when you have like this is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is that, and this is just something I've always noticed. Before we sat down and had this conversation, I was like, what do you want to talk about? And you were like, I'm just open to anything. And every time I've asked you, like, what do you want to talk about in our episodes? You always say that. Like, there's very rare that you're like, I want to talk about this specific thing. And I feel like this is a muscle. Just like I'm building the muscle of like letting go, I feel like you building the muscle of like grounding it into a container.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you thrive in structure, you know what it might be? It might be that the creations that you've been making feel chaotic in the sense that we talked about yesterday, where it's like, what's the point of this?
100%.
It's like, what am I making this for?
Like one thing I've told you I'm really excited about is I would love to have like a true analysis of the map of consciousness or things like that.
Yeah.
Like tools that we're either studying or creating.
Yeah.
That I can look back and be like, wow, that video was well done. I feel like at that level, which I don't think I've ever put out anything like that. At that level, it can be really, really impactful for people.
I totally agree.
And it can be like a tool that people will be like, damn, that's worth sharing.
Yes.
It feels.
I think so.
I don't feel
too.
like I've ever had that much intention into any of it.
And maybe that is the secret ingredient you're missing, is that when you create a structure around something, like we did for Do It Now, right? Like we created the outline of that whole course and then each video module, and you had just like small lines to go off of. And then you had a small thing and you channeled the rest. And it was this it was a balance.
Mm-hmm.
It was a balance between the masculine and feminine energies. And so maybe it's imbalanced. So you are therefore forgetting about it.
That feels right.
When it's posted, because you're like, because when Do It Now is out there, you'll probably be like, oh my God, yeah. You know what I mean? Because that's the perfect balance. Because when you were recording that, you weren't just reading off a teleprompter. You were literally given a couple words as a prompt to keep you on target and to also ground the material. Because that's where you fly up. When you have an outline, you can't fly up.
Yeah.
The outline is your grounded masculine container.
Yeah, good point.
So what if the next time you created an outline for yourself and then you sat down and record? I wonder how different that would feel.
I think so. That's what I've been kind of yearning for. And I think I told you that the past few weeks.
Yeah.
That would feel good.
Because you're so good. That's the thing about it. It's like you have access to infinite information, and that's overwhelming.
Literally.
Because you're like, what do I bring through? And then you bring something through and you're like, what the fuck was that?
It's like I can be prompted with literally anything to ever exist. And for some, it'll come through.
Yes.
And so it's like, what is worth having come through?
Yes.
And in what structure can it be?
And I think the empowering thing about this is that you are deciding what is worth coming through. So when you have an idea of like, I want to talk about the map of consciousness. Okay, great. That's what you have decided you're going to bring through. So you create like an outline of what you're going to say, and then it just comes through.
Yeah.
Because it feels like the way you operate best is when you're given a little nugget of structure and then you can just play with the rest. It's this beautiful balance. You're so good at it. I mean, I was sitting right over there when you were recording your modules, and the way that you would just effortlessly flow between the small sentence you were given, and then you literally expand upon that in the perfect way, just the right amount of time, the perfect story, no breaks, no edits, no cuts needed. Like, you're so good at that. And I feel like that is exactly maybe what you're missing.
Yeah.
It's like, think about everything you create through that lens, and then you'll be proud of it because it feels more of like package than a like, oh, here's one ingredient that like, I don't even really know what this was, but maybe you know. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little chaotic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that feels right.
It might feel like, you know, when you create in this current period of time without like outlines or structure, that you're almost like delivering a piece of machinery with missing parts. And then you're like, maybe you could fill in the last parts, but like, here's something. And then you're like, you know, you don't feel compelled to share it because you're like, okay, maybe the person who needs to see this will watch it, but like, oh, who gives a fuck? But like, if you put together the whole machine with all the parts and you deliver it, then it's like a devotional act.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a machine that will actually help your life.
Yeah.
You know?
It's self-sufficient.
Yes.
It's exactly what needs to be. It's
you
excellent.
don't need to fill in you don't need to order parts from other places.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right here, you know? Because you can do that. I think it's about grounding the information.
Okay. Which has been kind of the theme of my life. I just feel more grounded here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And all the nervous system work you've been doing and the movement work, this feels like it's kind of like a no duh. I'm surprised we hadn't thought of this earlier.
Of course, we weren't ready to see it. We weren't ready to see it. Yeah. So what do you feel as if work can look like to be more feminine for you?
I really feel what we talked about yesterday about like, I need to play with it, but even what we're doing right now, you know, this feels great because I know it's like, oh man, you know, spontaneously crying really deep, went into really, you know, places we did not expect to go in this moment. But like, this feels really great for me. I really love showing up and not really knowing what we're going to talk about, because what comes through when we're together feels more grounded.
Yeah. And I would love a routine where we like record this often. And then after I'd feel, all right, a lot of flow. Let me do some structure. Then I would record one of the videos I'm talking about there. Yeah. I love that. So you just want more of this, it feels.
Yeah.
So kind of the space.
Yeah.
For just whatever is meant to come through through.
Yeah. I feel like, and I don't really know what is accounting for this, but I think it's just a difference in our energy design where like, I don't spiral up the way you do. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm talking about, because I'm pulling kind of from my karma, it feels like I'm pulling from my lived experience. And so I am literally like anchored in my emotional reality of whatever I'm talking about. And it keeps it relatable in a way. But like with you, because you're not really anchored super deeply in like a really deep pain point, you can like, it's like a hot air balloon that's not tied to the ground. It's just like lifts higher and higher and higher and higher through the video. But like my hot air balloon's like tethered to the ground. So people can feel lifted, but they can still feel grounded. Mm-hmm. And I feel like because of that, when I share about like my life spontaneously, which was like, if you look at like the Elle Meditates series, where I would sit for 30 minutes, I'd meditate. And then right afterwards, I just talk about whatever the hell came through me. People really love that series. That's literally why RJ is on our team now, because she found me through that. And I got so many comments from people who were like, I go back and watch those. They're like my comfort videos I'm like, what was it about those videos? Because like I thought I was like kind of crazy. I mean, I am crazy, whatever. But like, like it is what it is. Who cares?
Facts.
Who cares?
Facts.
Reclaiming the word crazy.
My type of crazy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, for real. But like, there was just something about that. Like they were very alive, and I feel when I speak, like I have so many different voices that come through that I'm having a conversation with like 3 people and I'm only talking, you know? And I feel like that's just my way of communicating is I can just be a one woman show that's somehow grounded. And I just feel that's my way. And then I feel like where you've been growing through is like you look at how I create and then you're like, oh, well, I'll just do that because that looks easy.
Mhm.
But we're not accounting for the energetic differences in how we're designed.
Most definitely.
Yeah, because if the thought of me creating outlines for myself, that closes me up. Cause I'm like, oh dang, now I have to be a certain way.
Mhm.
So it actually has like the opposite effect on me, but I actually think it has a really good effect on you. So
Do
I
you
just
feel like,
wanted to
okay, so
share
if
that.
we embodied that, do you feel like it would be good for maybe not every day, but the far majority of days, especially when like your cycle
Yeah.
allows for it, for us
Yeah.
to do kind of what we did today? Whereas
Yeah.
like you prepare yourself to be in the studio
Yeah.
and then either I'll be here too, or I'll be right there as you do like a individual one, or I'll just be in the room next door. But we just kind of set the space and kind of the intention
Yeah.
that I'm going to the studio and talking today. Does
I
that feel like the
yeah.
proper amount of structure for you?
I think so. I think that like I'd like to explore because I really love our flow. I don't feel that our expression is purely feminine. I actually feel like it's quite grounded when we're together because when we're together, you go up, but then I ground it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I make sure that if you do go up there, I kind of explain it in a different way to where it like kind of makes sense. So I have almost that instinct. And so I feel like it's a really great balance of energies. That's why I love like talking with you. And that's why you're like, I don't like creating content by myself because there's no energetic anchor when it's just you. It's just
100%.
you in the void when you're recording by yourself. But it's like that's why you love being prompted, and when you're like talking to other people and they ask you questions, like that's when you shine so brightly because you're able to actually like calibrate to their energy and bring through what they can hear. So I think that that's makes perfect sense as to what's happening. So with our container, just you and I speaking, it's really great because things come through that I'm really not expecting. Like we don't sit and mastermind what we talk about at all. We have some level of an idea, but like barely. And then it's like a question or something we start with and we just let it unfold. But for me, I have been feeling some kind of pull to do something similar to my meditation diaries. I don't know exactly what it would look like. There's something in my head about me being in my office when I'm doing it and just making it really easy where I'm like sitting down there and I just hit record and like whatever is there is there.
You just do it from the like laptop camera if you wanted to.
Yeah, or like my phone camera on like the tripod or something. And I feel like that would be really great because I talk to myself a lot. Not when Cam's around, but when like Cam goes on walks and stuff. Because if he's here, I'll talk to him. But like I talk to myself a lot, and like I really solve so many problems for myself when I'm talking to myself. And then the other ones are solved by Cam talking to me. But like there's been a lot of times where I like when I get the instinct to talk, I end up solving a deep, profound problem. And I'm like, damn, I wish I recorded that so that someone else could listen to that because that cooked. And I'll take it from like the pain all the way to like the solution. And it goes in so many different ways, but it almost feels like a transmission that I I want to listen back to. So that's something that I maybe would like to add is like a Elle meditates style videos that I was doing last year in kind of an even more evolved way because now I've like transcended blocks where I don't have to, put on a full face beat, eyelashes laid, lipstick on. I don't need to be looking like that every time on those videos. I don't have to wear the same robe every time. So that I don't have to think about what I'm wearing. Like I've transcended quite a few blocks. So I feel like the return of the meditation diaries might just be a goated idea.
I love it. Let's do it.
What do you
That's what
think?
people love the most.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I think whatever cadence you want that to be, whether that's daily or interval times a week, whatever it is,
I think it'd be cool.
I think that would be really, really cool. Yeah, kind of, I think structure and standard for you.
Yeah.
And if you get in the habit, I think for us, it's like, again, you're saying creating, if you haven't created in a while, it feels like very difficult when you first get back.
Yeah.
But if you're in the habit of daily,
then it's not a big deal.
Exactly.
I think the most important thing for me, and we'll probably end it here because this one was a doozy. I really enjoyed this, baby.
Yeah. Can we first talk about like the roller coaster cycle we just went on?
Yeah, that was wild.
Like
we take you through the
life
whole map
update,
of consciousness.
social media, and then like, you know what I mean?
That's just me. Also, you were kind of down bad at a point too.
100%.
That was great.
Like, but they also kind of got to see us work through what these conversations look like.
Yep.
And us kind of feeling it to some extent, even though we didn't fully, I mean, you cried, and I like kind of, but processed my own ways. Oftentimes it could be much more extreme for both of us.
Yep.
Especially for me.
Yeah.
But then it's like, and then we're up again, and now we're like, oh, we found the solution. Okay, create often, daily, especially with video, and then for me, more structure around what you're doing.
Yeah.
Think about ahead of time the kind of the where you do and do not want to talk.
Right.
And do that consistently. It's like, oh, answers have been solved.
Yeah.
Solutions.
Feeling great.
We rose the vibration of solutions above the problems.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
And it really shows you, if anyone out here is listening, like, what was that? I mean, what a doozy, really. If you got something out of this, please let us know, because this one I really enjoyed a lot. And I did also enjoy solving our problem in this episode. So that was incredible. But like what you'll notice in our episodes is that because whenever we talk from a pain point, and we can't control us doing that. That's why, like, I would love to do this more for you guys, but it is so spontaneous that, like, I did not expect to get that emotional talking about Twitter in that moment, but then I did, and I just followed it. But like, that is what when Cam and I talk about like cooking on each other, that is that. Like what you just witnessed is like, we'll be having a normal conversation, and for some reason there's a spontaneous level of emotion. That is what takes us from like neutrality, like probably positivity, down to like the depths of shame, guilt, anger, all of that down on the map of consciousness. And then as you actually allow that feeling to be felt is when it starts to rise back up again. So now you see us sitting here, and it's like, if you literally started watching this video from this moment, you'd be like, oh, they're in a great mood. And they definitely didn't burst into tears for like multiple minutes. And like, that's what's so funny about it, is if you actually allow the feeling to be felt and you go deeper into the feeling, you don't try to be like, oh, no, like this is an inconvenient time to cry. And like, what the fuck am I doing? That's when it gets stuck. But if you actually just go deeper into the feeling until it feels complete, then you can ricochet back up. And it's amazing. Like, it feels really good, because now, not only did we like cry, which by the way, I see crying as like literally elevating my mood every single time I do it, because it's healthy to cry. It's one way that we like release stuck and stored emotions in our body. So whenever I cry now, I never used to see it like this, but I'm like, oh yes, it's so good. Like, I love it. Something's releasing. But I love that people were able to see that journey, because it's not often caught on camera.
Yeah, this happens
in its
like
purest form.
This happens to us. I mean,
maybe every other day.
Probably every other day. Like I'd say 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Something like that happens where it's like we have similar type of limiting belief, story, emotion. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And we just kind of talk each other through it.
Right.
As other kind of emotes in whatever way is right. And we have a solution, which is pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. See, that's why it's like, even the core frustration I was talking about when I was crying is like, we have these incredible moments that could really help people, because somebody who's going through the exact block I was going through could literally just listen to that and go through the emotional journey I was going through. And then now they're going to feel great.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, great.
This is why, like, if we just do this all the time,
right,
we'll just be able to encapsulate all the moments.
Right.
And like, I feel like our life will kind of make it, calibrate it, so that when these moments are meant to come up, they'll happen in the conducive, settings, environments like this that we're having it be in.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why we build a studio, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean,
these.
This is literally in our home, and it's right between our offices. And it's just funny how, like, I mean, I love our episodes. I love all of our conversations, because I recognize that they're real. You know, they're whatever we are going through in this moment. And they might start with an intention and go on like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. But like, every single time we sit down and record, I'm like, oh, banger. So I'm just really happy about the way that this one went and how it was a great demonstration of like what we often talk about on this podcast. But sometimes we have captured it, but this was a really good example of capturing it.
I love it.
So
love
thank
it.
you guys for being here. We're so grateful for you.
Thank you for
and
watching,
hope you
y'all.
enjoyed this beautiful episode. Have the best week and be gentle with yourself. If you need to cry, let it out. You are releasing things that you need to release. If you want to create more from the heart, you go for it. Just have a nice deep exhale. Can we end this one with a nice deep breath?
Let's do it.
In through the nose. Hold it. Out through the mouth. Beautiful. Thank you guys for being here. We're so grateful for you.
Love
Bye.
y'all. Peace. Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Whimsy World. If you're ready for another episode, we have plenty already in store. So go ahead and click somewhere over here. You'll get our most recent episode. We plan on doing these quite often now. So we have quite a few in the chamber. So week by week by week, expect one next week. And also, if you haven't already subscribed, feel free to do so below somewhere over here. Besides that, thank you so much for coming today. I hope you enjoyed this amazing conversation. We love you all unconditionally and see you next week.